Thanks for joining Leadership Rediscovered, a podcast devoted to all things leadership. I'm Laura Seybold, founder and president of Shine Consulting, and today I am sitting across the table. We are flipping the script, turning the tables, and Maggie Crandall, owner of Magnitude Consulting, is here to interview me about my program, Finish It. So Maggie, thanks for being here. I don't know if I'm ready to thank you actually yet, depending on how this goes, because this is very uncomfortable for me to sit on this side of the table. But thank you for being here, my very dear and beautiful friend. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I'm really excited to talk to you about Finish It. You know, it's one of my very, very favorite things to talk about.
Yes.
And to be able to ask you questions about it is really going to be a rewarding experience. So thank you for having me and for letting me be on this side of the table.
Yes, thank you. Okay, fire away. I'm ready.
Okay, good. Okay, I think what we should probably start out with is, how did you come up with Finish It? What inspired you to create this amazing program?
Yes, good question. Well, I have heard before that a lot of entrepreneurs start companies just to solve their own problem. And I feel like in a way that's kind of what Finish It was for me. So finishing things has long been a struggle for me. And all the way back from childhood, I was notorious for starting a bunch of things, having a lot of irons in the fire, but not actually completing any one thing or finishing things. However, I was also always a big dreamer. And so there were a lot of things I wanted to accomplish in life, and I had to really learn somewhat the hard way. It was a long journey, but I had to learn how to actually go about finishing things so I could achieve those very important dreams and goals that I had. And a couple years ago, I came across a statistic that said only about 8% of people who think up a goal in their mind can actually achieve it and get it across, like what I think of the proverbial finish line. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm not the only one that has struggled with this. And maybe there are other people out there that would benefit from the information that I've come across, the podcasts I've listened to, the books that I've read, the articles, and just the life experience of practicing things and figuring out what works. And so several years ago, I just felt really compelled to put together a workshop that would help people. Initially, it was women only, and you were in that inaugural group, and we launched it during COVID. So we had to do it virtual because you couldn't meet in person at that time. And I just felt very passionate about the fact that this was an opportunity to help other people who maybe had big dreams and big goals, but just needed a little bit of boost to get them across the finish line.
Yeah. And for all of us that have been through your program, thank you, because it's made such an impact. And I'm just going to kind of derail just for a second here and do a testimonial, because I feel compelled to let you know that Finish It changed my life in a lot of ways, because I'm one of those people where you said you're a big dreamer. Yeah. I didn't have dreams. I didn't even know how to dream. And it came from being a child that kind of had to set back and kind of react to situations and watching people and becoming a mold of whatever they wanted. And so I didn't know how to do that for myself. And so Finish It just, honest to goodness, changed the way that I do things. I'm now able to dream. I'm now able to have goals. I'm now able to actually finish them and achieve them. And it's all because of this program. And so I know that from being one of your participants, you're extremely passionate about other people accomplishing their goals. And I've heard you say you want it for them more than they want it for them.
Yes.
And so tell me a little bit more about why you're so passionate about other people achieving their own goals.
Yeah, I am. In fact, I've become very emotional about it before, because sometimes, I feel like I almost get angry I feel like I care more sometimes about other people achieving their goals than they do. And I'm like, why is that? But I think where this comes from, so between my junior and senior years of high school, there were actually a lot of we lost a lot of classmates, and many of them to car accidents, but to some other things. And that really had a very profound impact on me. I realized kind of at a young age that life is very short, life is very precious, and we're not promised tomorrow. And so I think when you couple that with the fact that really, I mean, the genesis of my company Shine is all connected to living out your greatest potential. And so I think there's just a lot of people in this world who have big dreams and big goals, but just aren't able to actually bring them to life. And so an example I use a lot is Walt Disney. I love Walt Disney. And one of his quotes he has a lot of famous quotes, but one of the ones that I like is, if you can dream it, you can do it. And that's a great quote. The only challenge is there's a gap between dreaming and doing. It's not just like, if you have the dream, you will do it. So there's a lot of work that has to happen in between. But I like using him as an example because think about everything that Walt Disney has created. That was once just an idea or a dream in his mind, right? He had a vision for characters. And I guarantee people probably told him he was crazy. Could you imagine I'm thinking about, maybe it started somewhat, normal, but then it was like, I want to build this theme park, this amusement. I'm sure he didn't even use that terminology, something even bigger and grander, but people probably looked at him like, you're nuts. Like, what are you doing? And if you think about everything that has been birthed just from him, the ripple effect of that, and knowing that it all started with a dream. And just imagine if he didn't do it. Imagine if he was just sitting there thinking like, oh, it'd be really nice to have this amusement park for families to come to, or, oh, it'd be really nice to create these characters that bring a lot of joy to people's lives, but that sounds really hard, and it sounds like a lot of work, or I'm afraid, or I'm too busy. And he had never taken action on any of that. We wouldn't have all of those things that we have just based on that one person alone. So then you multiply that by all the other people walking around in this world who also have dreams and things that they want to accomplish in life. And just, again, sometimes just have a little bit of a struggle maybe in getting them. To me, it's don't wait for someday. There's so much potential out there. There's so much opportunity. And that is so much what Shine is for me, is helping people access that potential that's in them and recognizing that, yeah, if you are sitting there feeling like I was made for more, yeah, you probably were. And it's okay to go after those things that you dream about and bring them to reality. So I went on a tangent, but I am very passionate about it, and that's why.
And again, I'm so grateful that you are, because what you do is you plant a seed. And if you allow that seed to be nurtured and to be able to root and grow sprouts and then become dreams, and then be able, from taking it from here to here to here, right? To actually be able to get it from your head, this dream to an actionable item. And one of the things that was such an impact for me is, well, you planted that seed, and boy, did you nurture it by asking me a lot of questions about my goals. And again, I'm one of those people that I lived in the moment.
Right.
Every single moment. And I didn't even know what I was going to have for lunch that day.
And I'm like, what do you dream about, Maggie?
Right, you're pushing me to dream about something bigger. And so you planted that seed. And when it started to grow, it was pretty exciting. It was new for me. But then you plopped down in front of me, as a little dramatic. You plopped it right down in front of me, your B-Star model.
The B-Star model.
Yes. And this is one of your tools that you use within the workshop. And we were able to take that little light that you started for me and put it into an actionable goal. And so tell us about the B-Star model. There's so many models out there. Why did you feel compelled to create your own to help people reach
absolutely.
that goal?
So if you think about the Finish It program overall, which you know better than I do, I think at this point, but the way the program is set up is that it goes through a path. So there's different topics that we cover. And the first one is really distinguishing the difference between dreams and goals, because those terms get used interchangeably, but they're not actually the same thing. Dreams cannot be achieved. They can only be realized, and they are realized through the setting and achievement of goals. And it requires action, right? So when I thought about, okay, we have to talk about goal setting, this was another thing that I very naively took for granted, because came out of a corporate world where goal setting was a very important priority as part of the operations of the business. Everybody had to walk through a goal setting process, a goal setting acronym. And so I just kind of assumed that everybody has that type of training and knowledge and knows how to set goals and what a good goal looks like, and then started to learn actually not necessarily. And yeah, there are a lot of goal setting frameworks out there, acronyms. They're all good. They all have their merit, but I felt like each one of them was missing something. So I thought, well, why not, just throw one more into the hat? And so I created the B-Star model, and I sent it to you as my test. Like, what do you think of this? Am I on the right track or not? But B-Star is essentially, the B stands for believable. And that is one of those components that I think is missing from most goal setting models out there. And it's almost a filter question that you have to ask before you even go through the rest of the goal setting model. And that's, do you actually believe you can achieve the goal that you're setting? And some people may say, duh, why would I set a goal that I didn't think I could actually achieve? But if we peel that back for a moment, there are a lot of people, and you can think about this from a personal context or a professional context, but there's a lot of people who set goals around things they think they should do, call them should goals, versus goals that they actually want to do or believe that they can achieve. So I remember one time listening to a coaching session between two people, and I think the topic centered around weight loss, and someone was talking about, I'm having a really hard time losing weight, da, 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 da. And the coach just finally said, do you want to lose weight? And she was like, no, I don't want to lose weight. And it's like, she just felt like I should, but it wasn't something that she actually wanted to do. So that's part of it. And then again, the other piece is this even something that you think is realistic that you can achieve? And if our odds of achieving a goal that we think up in our mind are only 8% initially, and then later on, you don't even believe that you can do it, I mean, of course, that's one of the reasons why your odds of achieving are 8%, because if you don't even think, I can do this and this is a possibility for me, then your odds of achieving are going to be really slim. So that is an important piece of it. And again, you can think about it from a personal context, personal goals, but also professional. If you think about the cascading that happens oftentimes of goals in any type of organization, where you start with a strategy, you start at the top and you just start moving down. Okay, these are your goals, and then here's how they trickle down to you and to you and to you. If it's not a very collaborative process, someone could find themselves in a situation where they're just being told, these are your goals for this year. And you may not believe you can achieve those. Maybe they're not realistic, or you don't agree with them. You don't like the goals. You don't have the capabilities. Maybe you don't see the potential in yourself that somebody else sees in you. So even though it's a positive, they may say, I want you to go get this, and I know you can do it. In the back of your mind, you may be thinking like, I don't think I am capable of doing what they're asking me to do. And so all of that to me is a really important question that we have to ask ourselves when we're approaching goals. Do I actually believe that I can achieve this goal? And how do I know? How do I know that I can achieve it? And why do I believe that? So you start there. And then, like I said, it's almost a filter. And then you can go around the rest of the model. And do you want me to talk through the rest of it? Okay.
So let's talk about it.
All right. Yeah. So the rest of B-Star, the S stands for specific, which is a very common S in any goal setting acronyms, but it is really important because a lot of times people set incredibly vague goals, and that just makes it harder for a lot of different reasons. How do you measure it? How do you know what actions you're actually going to take? Things of that nature. So the S is for specific. The T is for time bound. And that helps to create a sense of urgency. If you're just, wouldn't it be nice if I could do this? Those are the someday goals. And they're probably dreams. If I say, wouldn't it be nice to have a house in Florida? I can say that for many, many years. doesn't mean it's going to appear one day if I don't take action and actually have some sort of plan for how do I go about doing that. Two different things, right? So the time piece allows for some sort of deadline or sense of urgency around what you're doing. And then also to be able to build in some milestones, especially if it's a longer term goal, just so you can keep the momentum going and track your progress. So that's the T. The A is accountable. And we talk about that a lot in the Finish It workshop in terms of how important accountability is, which is so interesting because we are so much more inclined to let ourselves down than we are to let other people down. Yeah, the
100%.
power of social expectations.
Yes.
So I always like to share the example of my friend Liz Vitullo. Shout out Liz Vitullo. She's been on this podcast. Yeah. She and I were running partners. We were training for a half marathon together, and we had a very specific schedule every Tuesday and Thursday after work. And then Saturday mornings, we would go running together. And there were so many times that I did not feel like running, but I just kept thinking, but I pictured Liz sitting in her house with her running shoes laced up, waiting for me to come. I mean, who knows? She probably didn't feel like running either, but that's not the story I told myself. Liz is waiting on me. I have to show up for Liz. And my goodness, we ran through hailstorms, snow, ice, freezing cold temperatures, burning hot temperatures. I mean, any weather condition you can imagine we ran through. And I would often think, if it were up to me to do this by myself and it's hailing, I would have been like, I think I'm going to pass on the run today. Yeah, but that accountability is so huge. So that's a really important part of it as well that, again, I think is missing from a lot of models. And then the last piece, the R, stands for rewarding. And I always like to talk to rewarding in two different contexts. I'll say big R and little r. So big R is overall, why are you doing this? What is the reward? And that's trying to drive at your sense of motivation, because our brains are wired for rewards. So we're not going to do something that we won't get some sort of reward out of. And so the big R is overall holistically, what are you getting out of this? And why is this goal important to you? What's the why? And then little r stands for how will you reward yourself along the way? So again, when I was talking about time bound with the milestones and everything, if your goal especially is a little bit longer in nature, you have to break it down into parts and pieces that you can also reward yourself after you accomplish those individual components, just to keep it going. Because I think a lot of times, you know how it is, you start something new, you get excited. I mean, my motivation on a Monday morning isn't always the same on a Friday morning, it's
or like, Monday afternoon.
Yeah, right? Really good at starting and getting excited, but then you lose momentum. And so you have to build in those rewards to keep you going and to keep you encouraged along the way. Because one thing I will not say in my Finish It program is that it's easy. I won't stand here and tell you that I have the 5 secrets to making achieving goals easy and making all your dreams happen in life. Has that ever been a message that I've said? No, I don't say it's easy. Now, I think Finish It makes it easier in terms of the tools that we teach and some of the habits and practices, but it can be very hard. And a lot of times we're going against our default wiring in our brains. And so it's not necessarily easy, but there's ways that we can put some mechanisms in place to make it a little bit easier on ourselves and increase our odds of success. Because at the end of the day, it's about getting across the finish line. That's it.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely, the whole B-Star model, it floored me. Yeah. I've participated in a lot of trainings. I've gone through a lot of those tools, and I was so vague, and I didn't believe I could do them. So I just went through the motions to do it. Yeah. And so when you put me through that and you held my feet to the fire the whole way around the star.
Accountability.
You nailed that accountability so many times for me.
Well, you've done the same for me, so.
And so, I felt like that was the piece that made it possible for me, was just being able to see it down on paper to where it made sense, to where I had specific things that I had to accomplish. And it just clicked. And it was the first time I had ever done it. And it was just this huge aha moment for me. So when you created Finish It, I eagerly was the first person to enroll.
Yes, you were.
I was so hungry.
And have enrolled in every version that I've offered because you're amazing.
I am never going to be without Finish It in my life. I just want you to know that. But yeah, so when you did that, and I went and you talk about accountability in that session. And I have to do a shout out to my accountability partner that I still meet with from that session. What has it been, 2 years?
2, yeah. No.
3 years.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah. We still meet.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday night. And if we're not meeting, we're talking. So shout out to Amy.
Yay,
you're doing
Amy.
great, hard things. And it's just making things happen. And so that accountability piece is just, I know that when I talk to her on Tuesday, I have to report.
You have to report in.
And so that has helped me not only achieve the initial goal, but we have set so many goals since, and it's just continuing to go across that finish line. So it's amazing. And that accountability piece is huge.
It is.
I think that you're right. It has been missing in all of those other tools.
Yeah. And I also think about, from a work context, there are a lot of built-in accountability systems at work. I mean, first of all, a lot of people are scared generally every day of like losing their job or disappointing their boss or disappointing their coworkers. And so there's some built-in accountability there of, I want to do a good job and I'm concerned about that. So I know that, the rules, I have to start my day at this time and end my day at this time, or however it's set up in the culture. But then there's also things like project status update meetings and which I never liked those. They work.
Again,
accountability. Built-in accountability in the workplace, but we don't really always have that as much in our personal goals. Yeah. And if we don't have someone holding us accountable, some people are excellent at self-accountability. I am not one of those people.
Nor am I.
I mean, shout out and 3 cheers for people who are self-accountable, but I am not. I'm not good at it. So, but I, will, and because you're a certified coach, that's a huge piece of coaching too, is holding people accountable. And I've had people tell me in my coaching practices, I knew you were going to ask me about this topic. And so I was very conscious of it so that I would be prepared to have that answer and to be able to say, because we all want the gold star. We all want to check the box. So I want to be able to say I did my homework. Yeah. And again, that's built into that process as well. So it is a huge piece, and big believer in it.
Me too. It's just, it helps you get across that finish line every single time.
It does.
Does this look like a scene from your life? A stack of half-read books? A new workout plan that you abandoned after 3 days because your kid got sick? A half-completed application for a certification you really want to get? All move to what I call the someday goal category. Someday I'll lose weight. Someday I'll write a book. Someday I'll start my own business. But what if someday doesn't come? I'm here to tell you that you don't have to wait until the kids are grown and out of the house, or until you have a certain amount of money in the bank account to focus on your hopes and dreams. You can start right now. Sign up for the Finish It course, and I'll teach you how to turn your dream into an achievable goal, what gets in the way of finishing your goal, and how to create new habits for success. I'll teach you how to go from an 8% chance of achieving your goal to a 95% chance. Listen, the world needs you and it needs your gifts. Don't wait for someday. Start today and finish it.
You mentioned fear.
Yeah.
And so you have a whole segment in your workshop that is fear-based.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the fear piece. Why did you include fear?
And that's new. So that wasn't a part of the initial version. And then I added it, and I hesitated to add it because nobody likes to talk about fear, right? So I'm like, how's this going to go over in a workshop? But a lot of Finish It is focused on, once you establish, is this a dream? Is this a goal? What's going on here? Once you establish that and then you set that goal, then it becomes, how do I make sure that I'm setting myself up for success? So what are the things that are going to help me get across the finish line? And what are the things that are potentially going to detract or get in the way. And so, as you know, we spend a lot of time talking about what are those detractors. And one of the biggest ones is fear. And I think, again, when people hear the word fear, sometimes they just think about like being scared of the dark or something like that. And they don't make that connection of like, well, that's not why I'm not achieving my goal. Like, it doesn't have to do with being afraid of something. If you peel it back a little bit and you start thinking about, when I say fear, it could be things like fear of what other people think, fear of not being included in something, fear of not pleasing someone else, fear of failure. Massive. I mean, how many things do people not do simply because of the fear of failure? Oftentimes, to me, that's what prevents people from going from dream to goal in the first place. Not even starting the goal, but just thinking that in their head of something they desire, something they want to do in their life, but then instantly feeling that pit of, I can't do this, right? Or what if this happens, or what if that happens? And we know that nine out of 10 things that we worry about actually will not happen. But it's amazing the power that fear has over us. And again, I think sometimes people don't peel it back to think through how fear is really impacting them. I mean, when I started my business, it was really interesting how much fear people projected onto me. You know, there were some people that were like, congratulations, that's amazing, that's great. That was not the majority of the responses I got. The majority of the responses were things like, ooh, I could never do that, too risky. Or, oh, what are you going to do about benefits? How are you going to get by? And are you going to make enough money to be able to support yourself and your family? It was a lot of people projecting their own fears onto me. And it's not like I didn't think about all those things, right? I mean, this was a long process of getting to the point of like, I would like to start my own business to actually doing it. So it's not like I didn't have those fears. But I'd already worked through them to that point, and I pushed through that and I pushed past it. I didn't let it stop me. And so I think a lot of times, even if you think about something like, let's take an example of a mom who is not electing to take some time for herself, okay? Maybe that's a fear that she has around people will perceive me as selfish or not a good mother because I'm not doing these things that society or whomever tells us this is the definition of a good mother, right? So fear is the core and the root of a lot of things that prevent us from actually achieving our goals. And so I think it is important to talk about because we don't always recognize that that's exactly what's getting in the way, but a lot of times it is.
Yeah. It really is. I think, one of you said I was a certified coach. Yes, I'm really excited. But that was my goal that we created the first time. And so I'm proud to say that, I finished that.
You finished it. You're a finisher, Maggie.
I am a finisher. Yes. Multiple times over because I will not stop coming to your workshop. But
and now you're leading them because you're a finish it coach.
Yes. And that was one of my goals for 2024 was to be more actively involved with Finish It. And so here we are.
Yeah, you're doing it.
Yeah,
you're doing
it.
Right now.
Yeah, one of my fears, and it was actually being vulnerable enough to be seen. And so like that was one of the things,
putting yourself out there.
Right. When you are somebody that lives in the moment and you are somebody that lets other people dictate how you conduct your life. I mean, I achieved every goal that you gave it, that was given to me through life, right? Yes. This is what you're going to do. Okay. This is what I need you to do. Okay. Yeah. And so everybody else was setting my goals. And so I was able to kind of stay in the background. They weren't my goals. I wasn't being vulnerable by putting myself out there. Yeah. And so that was one of the things that I had to came to realization. Yeah. In workshop 2, that when you added fear into there, where that was a huge one. Is I was afraid to be seen, and I didn't want that to occur. So I was self-sabotaging before I even got started. And so that again, the B-Star model, the fear, all of this helps bring you to where you need to be when it comes to setting your goals. And so again, Finish It is amazing. And so
thank you for sharing that. It makes me want to cry. That's very brave of you to share.
We're
So
not crying
thank
today.
you. I know.
Well, we
but
might.
I'm proud of you. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so, we've talked about fear. We've talked about accountability. You talk in the workshop about the habit loop.
Yes.
Talk about the habit loop, because that's one of the
Habits.
things that I think
It's another thing that can either set you up for success or get in the way
Right.
and derail you, get you off track. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time when I am talking about Finish It and we have, visual aids, it's in my mind, in a perfect world, I like to picture someone just like sailing across the finish line of some kind of race, with their arms. I've never been the person that like is the first one across the line, so I don't actually know
to break
Maybe
the
if
tape.
it was a race of one, I would know what that feels like.
set
But
it up
I'm not
for you.
built for speed. We've had that conversation. So, I don't know what it feels like to break through the tape because I'm like, person 6,024 of like 7,000 runners. But anyway, that's in my mind what I envision it being like. But in reality, we all know it's more like a Tough Mudder race, right? You've got like all kinds of obstacles coming at you in situations. And habits are one of those things. So topic of habits, a pretty popular topic. I think one of the most popular books on habits is Atomic Habits, which is written by James Clear. Great book. But before I read that book, I actually read another one called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And that is a very long book, very detailed book, but it's a very interesting book. And it goes into this whole habit loop model that really breaks down the behavioral science, like what is going on in our brain and how our brain is wired and why habits matter. So habits represent about 40%, at least 40, I think it's actually 42% of our day is just governed by habit. And when we're in a habit loop, we are not consciously thinking about what we are doing. And our brain loves to conserve energy. So it's going to do anything it can to create habits out of our daily routines and practices, because the more habits our brain is able to create, the more free time it has to just, take a siesta or whatever. And this is why people get their best ideas in the shower, because you don't think, at least I don't, think about what you're doing when you're in the shower. So your brain's kind of like, you've downshifted into habit mode and your brain's free to start thinking about other things. And it likes to do that. So that's great for some things, but it's not great if you've engaged in habits that aren't healthy for you. Or when I say healthy, I mean not aligned to how you want to live and how you want to achieve your goals. And so it's really, really important, and that's why it's part of the workshop, is to start consciously thinking. We got to re-engage our brain and actually be aware of what we're doing. Because again, a lot of times people will say, well, I don't understand why I've not been successful with this goal. And then when we start breaking down, well, what's your day looking like? What habits do you have in place? It's like, if I'm like, I don't know why I never seem to have time to do this work. And then I may notice that I spend 45 minutes scrolling Facebook in the morning. I didn't realize it was 45 minutes, really felt like 5. And it's like, whoop, there's 45 minutes I can use for something else. So being consciously aware of the habits that we have that both set us up for success, but also take us off track is a really important part of getting us closer to that finish line. And so in the workshop, as you know, we actually look at what our number one, most destructive habit is. And then we work through this habit loop to rewrite the habit so that we can be more successful.
Yeah. And it's that again is another challenging aspect is when you start peeling back those different layers. I can't lose weight.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm a procrastinator.
Maybe I eat 40 cookies a day.
I don't want to.
Hypothetically.
I don't want to do this spreadsheet. So that Oreo is looking a little bit better right now. And so really being exploring that, and again, getting your mind active into what you're doing.
Consciously aware of what you're doing and not just engaging mindlessly in those habits. It's hard.
It is
It's
hard.
work. This is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. But if you want to achieve your goals, it's the work that has to be done.
Yeah, you go back to that R, right?
Yes.
The
Why
reward.
are you doing it in the first place?
Yeah. How bad do you want it?
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
It really does.
one of the things that, if you are willing, is at the end of every one of your sessions, you talk about a very personal and emotional connection.
Yeah.
And I know it makes you emotional, but
I can never do it without crying.
I'm just wondering if you would share it with your
Yes.
listeners, because I think it has such an impact, and it has just this, it just really roots it all together.
Yeah. I will do my best. Yeah. I always have a picture of my mom. So I think usually when I see the picture is when I start to lose it, which is before I even start talking. But essentially, when I think about my mom, so first of all, if people think I have a big personality, times 10 is my mom. Okay. So the loudness, the laughter, all of that. It's mostly from my
She's
mom.
fabulous.
Thank you. We're both a little extra, but that's all right. So my mom's always had this big personality, full of life, full of joy, all of that. And, took what she calls a 28-year maternity leave. So she was a teacher, and then she took, like I said, a 28-year maternity leave to stay home and raise 3, wily children. And I had the best childhood. I wouldn't trade anything. I was very blessed and great parents. My dad's great too. He's just not a part of this story, but he shows up in many stories, as you know, because you hear a lot of them. But my mom, was just we were her world. I mean, she focused on us, and everything was centered around us. And when she was, I would say probably 40-ish, somewhere around there, she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And that was not a new thing in the family. Her father had type 2 diabetes, and her mother was a nurse. So she knew that world very well. But looking back on it, she really didn't change her behaviors. I mean, it was kind of like, well, maybe I have to cut back on the sweets a little bit, but she really continued down the path and the same habits that she had already built, because as you know, like once you get to, that age, it's a little bit harder to change. Those are some long baked habits. And so fast forward, when she turned 70, things really started to go downhill pretty quickly. And I won't go into all the details, but where my mom's at right now, health-wise, is really hard to watch. And she's, here, but that bigness and that boldness of her life is gone. I mean, she's bedridden. She is on dialysis 3 times a week because she's in kidney failure. She can't see very well. I mean, diabetes is a horrible, horrible disease that impacts so many people, but so many aspects of your body too. And I always think to myself that if at that age of 40 or 42, if she could have allowed someone to hit the fast forward button and see what her life was going to become, would she have made some changes? And would she have maybe taken just a little bit of time for herself to focus on taking care of herself? Because again, it was all about taking care of my dad, taking care of me and my brother and my sister. And I know in her mind, that was what a good mother does. And she was a good mother. But I do not want this life for her. And I know she would not elect this life. And it's too late now. She can't go back and change it. And so this is my way of honoring her and just telling people how important it is to not quit on yourself and to not give up on yourself, and to know that you can be in service to other people. You can take care of other people and go after your dreams and your goals and the things that are important. It doesn't have to be a one or other. And I do hear a lot of people say, I can't do that right now, and it's just not a good time, and I'll do it someday, and when the kids are grown and out of the house, or when this happens and that happens. And I can fully appreciate that sometimes the timing isn't right. But I just think too often we use that as an excuse to not realize our potential. And that breaks my heart. That is why I'm so passionate, as you can see, about this. And again, I think it's my way of just honoring my mom and the sacrifice that she's made, and to hope that other people learn from that and recognize that, again, you can do both. It's not easy, but it is possible, and it's worth it in the end. So that's my story. I still can't do it, Maggie. Even when
Well,
I didn't have the picture, I still cry.
I mean, how many times have I heard it? And look at me, I'm doing the same thing.
I know.
But that's the impact that it has, right? And that's that connection that we get from looking at it in a fast forward mode. And you start thinking about, what if I don't?
Yeah. What if someday doesn't come?
Absolutely.
We're not promised that. I mean, if people haven't learned anything from COVID, then the fact that life is short, right? And we're not promised tomorrow. And you know what? If at the end of the day, you're okay with not accomplishing those things, then cool. Then this program's probably not for you. If it's like, you know what? I'm okay if that dream never comes to pass. I'm really okay. I mean, I would challenge people. Are you really okay? But if they are really okay with not achieving that, because I know, I mean, I came to a realization recently that I'm like, okay, based on my age and life expectancy, like I might not actually be able to accomplish all the things that I want to accomplish in this life. So I get it. But it's around those things that are so important to you. If you are not okay with not finishing those things, then these are my people.
They are.
These are my people. And that's who Finish It is for. Because just because you want it doesn't mean you can do it and that it's easy. And so Finish It gets people from that 8% chance of success to a 95% success rate, which is pretty darn good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If we just get out of our way.
If we just get out of our way.
If we would just recognize that we have everything within us to achieve it. And I think that's one of the things that just was so amazing to me, was recognizing the fact that everything that I needed, I already had. You just gave me the tools to shine the light on what was needed, what was necessary to make those goals come to fruition. And I think that's the part that we miss so much, is that you have everything you need.
Yes.
Already built within
it's all
you to
there. All the success is there. Yep.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you just need a little friend to come along and give you a boost, which you've done for me many times. So thank you. But that's what this is. It's just helping give that little extra edge, make it a little bit easier.
So, it's interesting. You're talking about these are your people. And, obviously people that are just not sure where to go, those
you. Come on.
Yes.
Get registered for Finish It.
That's a lot of workshops for me to attend.
That's a lot.
I'm really excited about this.
It's not one person 10,000 times.
No, I'm just
10,000 different people. Oh gosh. Yeah. But yeah, reaching that. And so, I mean, if there are people listening that either want to be a part of it or know someone that are our kind of people, there's several options of how to go through Finish It. So you can do, we have Finish It on Demand, which is a fully modularized online, think of it like a master class kind of approach. You still get a workbook and everything, but it's more something that you can access anytime. You just need access to the internet, basically. You can access it anytime, and you can go through it at your own pace by yourself. So if you're not like a real people person and you just kind of want to do it on your own, you can do that. That's fine. That's Finish It on Demand. And you can also, though, which is kind of cool, I've had companies that will do Finish It on Demand with their whole team. So you don't have to do it alone if you don't want to. So think about like home groups, book clubs, that type of a model.
Absolutely.
You could all go through it together and create a little community around it, which is super cool. So that's Finish It on Demand. But again, kind of online, self-paced. They're videos. It's videos of me. So sorry, just listen to me talking about a lot of the things I talked about on this podcast today, but in greater length. And then we have Finish It Live, which you're really excited about. So that is a 4-week program that is actually virtual but instructor led. Yes. So by both of us, we are the facilitators for that. So we're offering it just to kind of accommodate time zones and schedules. What we're doing is starting Monday, February 12th, we are going to offer this program 2 times a week. So people can either take it from 12 to 1 on Mondays or 5 to 6 on Thursdays. So hopefully that accommodates, different time zones, different time schedules. But what we're going to do is over a month time, we're going to go through the Finish It program with another community of, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Goal-getters.
Goal-getters. Whoa.
I haven't told you about that
That's
yet.
a new one.
A community of goal-getters. Do you like that?
I can get behind that. I feel like I need a t-shirt. I feel like I need a goal-getters t-shirt.
Goal-getter and then like finisher on the back or something. Yeah. But so this is more of a community because that's initially how Finish It always ran, was with a group of people. And there is such a great aspect of that. So this is an opportunity to interact with other people. And it is interactive. It's not one of those like, I'll sign in and listen as I check my emails on my other monitor. This is actually, you have to participate. But again, virtual. And it's going to run Monday, February 12th for a month. So once a week for 1 hour. So not too bad. We can work that into our schedule. But again, you get the support of a community of goal-getters.
I love the goal-getters. That's fantastic. Just a quick clarification. So if you sign up for the Monday session, does that mean you can go and do next Thursday if that Monday doesn't work? Or is it set to where you need, if you sign up for the lunchtime session?
Ideally, I think people should commit to one time or another.
For that community?
Yeah, for the community piece. Because ideally, you're going to start getting to know each other. There's that added element of support where you're going to have other people supporting you. So I would say ideally, we're not going to record the sessions. That's usually a question that comes up for people. Can we record the sessions? No, because it's a lot of, people get vulnerable in those conversations. So just to respect the privacy of who's participating, we're not recording them. But yeah, I would say commit to one or the other if you can. Now, you know me, I have very few rules. So if someone says like, I can't, I'm on like week 3 and I'm a Monday person, but I just can't come this Monday. Am I going to say, no, you can't join Thursday? Of course not. You can join Thursday. But yeah, I would say commit to one or the other. And then that way you're staying with your group through the whole process. And you get to watch each other go through that journey, which is super cool.
That's the amazing piece is watching everyone else also succeed.
Yes.
also
people
succeed.
On. Yeah, and there's also going to be an online community associated with an online group that people can, throughout the week cheer each other on. Like I remember how exciting it was when one of our finishers completed her personal training certification, and she put it in the group. You remember? She was like, "I finished it. I did it."
She was the first one.
Shout out Jamie. Yes, it was Jamie.
Good job, Jamie.
And she announced it, and then she was really sweet because I sent her a note on the side. I was like, "I'm so proud of you. It's so exciting." And she's like, "Honestly, like if I didn't want to have to report to the group that I didn't do it," and so accountability, right?
Yes.
So that's just an extra element that I prefer. But you know me, I'm a face-to-face. I like being with different people. So there's that. And then option 3 is actually one-on-one finish it coaching. So if people really want some very specific, very targeted sessions that are just for them, 1-hour sessions, they can sign up with either of us to do finish it coaching, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that option. And then last but not least, something else that's new for this year is a donate model.
Ooh, talk about this.
I'm excited about the donate model because I like to use the example of the Girl Scouts and cookies because I like both. Girl Scouts and cookies. I was a Girl Scout. And so, every year when the Girl Scouts come, I guess they don't really knock on doors anymore. That's what I did, but I'm old, so that's how we did it back in the day.
Oh, that one hurt a little bit, yeah.
But for the younger crew, it's like online now. But anyway, when you get the order form, there's an option to donate cookies, I believe, to people in armed services, which I love because for me, that was a win-win of I could still support the Girl Scouts, but I didn't need the calories per se, so I didn't buy the cookie. I mean, I bought some cookies for myself, but I didn't buy like 12 boxes for myself.
Just
like six. How'd you know? And then I could donate the rest. And so we're offering that as well this year, that in support of reaching 10,000 people. If people want to join in on that mission, and maybe they're like, I am crushing my goals and I don't need this program, thanks, but I'll happily support someone else that does. So we have partnered, I'm really excited about this, but we've partnered with West Virginia Sober Living, and donated licenses are going to go to people in active recovery from substance use disorders. So I'm really excited about that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so there is a donate option on the website that people can donate as many licenses to finish it on demand as they want, and that's where they'll go. So.
What a good feeling that would be too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I hope people take up that opportunity as well. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm excited. I look forward to it. I can't wait to see what kind of goals come up.
I know. Yeah, that's so fun, isn't it?
So
because
fun.
We've had anything from, I want to move my family from this state to that state. I want to buy a second home. I want to get a certification. I want to start a business. I want to change
a dog
relationships.
Kennel.
Dog kennel. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because when I talk through this program, people are like, maybe you should get more specific around certain types of goals. And I'm like, no, because I have taught this in companies, focus on corporate goals. I mean, it is any goal that you may just need a little bit of boost. Maybe it's something you've tried before and you just didn't quite make it. Like me, you're really good at starting things, not so good at finishing. But anyone who just needs that extra boost or really wants to make a commitment to themselves and to their goals, this is where it's at.
It is, absolutely.
They're going to finish it.
Yep. Absolutely. I think, again, thank you so much for creating the program because it's already made a huge difference in a lot of people's lives. You've touched Maggie. A lot of people with it already, and I can't wait for the 10,000 goal that you're gonna make it happen. We are all gonna make it happen, right? And
everybody, help me! Like this is not an easy goal, please.
Again, thinking about the world and where people are achieving what they've.
What a world that would
where
be.
They've gotten out of their own way.
I know.
And really made things happen.
And make it happen. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Do it. Don't wait. Don't wait for someday. Just do it now, and then you can say that you finished it, and then you can just go to the next goal. Look at you. You're like, oh, and then I finished this, and then I finished this, and then I finished this, and it's just it's amazing.
It's so and that's the thing is that, coming from somebody that has never set goals, that's never been, and now everything is a goal. Like, oh, well, how can I make this happen? What can I do? And
what's next?
Yeah.
And this is something that is always, it's a little bit of a different focus area for me from a business perspective, because I spend so much time talking about leadership. And a lot of times when I'm talking about leadership, I'm talking about people leadership. But this is self-leadership. And if you can't lead yourself well, how are you going to lead other people well? And so it is really important to think about, if I can't achieve my own goals, how am I going to hold other people accountable to their goals? And I'm not saying that to make people feel bad. I'm just saying this is the reality of what I have personally struggled with, right? So I'm not, pointing the finger at anyone. I'm just saying this is self-leadership. Yeah. And when you master self-leadership, then it's going to impact your overall people leadership too, for those who are people leaders. Yeah.
So many different ways this can go.
I know.
And it's so exciting.
Thank you. I'm excited too. Thanks for... This wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, I am not comfortable being...
You're a good guest.
Well, thank you. Maybe I'll come back to the show sometime.
You should do this again.
Yeah, exactly. You're a good interviewer. You did a very good job hosting.
Thank you.
Maybe we could get you a little podcast, Maggie.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be a goal. Who knows? We'll see. More to come.
I love it. Okay, we'll work on that offline.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Laura. I appreciate that. Any last things that you want to say before we finish up?
No, I just, thank you for your support. And there are a lot of people that, there's not a lot of people that have gone through the program, but the people that have gone through the program really have said amazingly kind things and been very supportive. And so I just do want to thank you in particular, because you have been my biggest supporter, but the others who have supported this and will support it, because as you can see, I am very passionate about it and I'm very excited about where it can go. And I also want to thank you for being a co-facilitator, co-leader, co-coach in all of this. It's really exciting. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Being a graduate of the program and being somebody that has really, it's been a transformation for my life. And so now having the skills and the certification to be able to help other people get there is just, it's so exciting, and it wouldn't have happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right, before the program. And so anybody that I'm touching is really because you created the vision for it. And so it's paying it forward.
Yes.
We're paying it forward.
Paying it forward.
Yeah.
So final words are, let's get started so we can finish it. That's all I got.
Awesome.
Thanks, Maggie.
Thank you.